Hey everybody, my name is Lou. Welcome to my channel. I spent the last 20 years working in the motion graphics industry, and I've developed a couple little tips and tricks. I'm looking forward to showing you all what I have learned over the past decades. And today I'm going to be showing you how I set up Photoshop when I first get on site at a motion graphics studio. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, if you know enough Photoshop, you can basically just copy my layout here, and thanks, that's the tutorial right there. But I'm actually going to go into detail on how to set it up from scratch kind of a deal. So let's go ahead and start the reset process. Reset preferences on quit. So I'm going to go ahead and quit. Okay, so this is Photoshop from the very beginning, as if you had just installed it brand new. And as you'll see, not a huge difference from where I had it before, but there are some panels which I think are not necessary for typical day-to-day. So the first thing I do is Control R, and I make sure that I right-click here and I make sure that we're on pixels, so that's good. From here on forward, Swatches, honestly, I never use it. I wish you could switch between projects. You're bouncing between different projects so often that this kind of becomes not useful, so I close that. Gradients, I don't use it very often as well. Patterns, that's in the edit fill section for the most part, so I don't really use this too often as well unless I have to. So it really comes down to color. Adjustments, this whole section is kind of like a newbie thing for me, so I don't really use that either. And libraries is the one thing that I wish Adobe would kind of leave it out, but I understand why they're using it. Now, channels I do use every once in a while, so I might leave that there. Paths, anything that's path related, I do in Illustrator. I don't even mess with it in Photoshop, so I close that down. So honestly, like, this would be very close to where I've had it going. I use history and I drag it up here, and then I close this one and then I double click that. So that's where we are almost done. I hit Navigator, and we'll go into why I use Navigator really often. So let me actually open up on your computer, and then let's just get this open. Okay, so I have a file open, and let's say you hit Control J. Oh, first thing, let's go into here. So it's not going to show you because I'm actually on an ultra wide and making it a little bit more narrow. But if you click on this hamburger icon, the four little lines, you click on that and then you click on panel options, you'll see that there's a add copy to copied layers and groups. So I turned that off. Reason being, if you Control J to duplicate a file, let's say you have this be like reference or whatever, and then let me turn this back on again. So if you had this going, it should, yeah. So if you hit Control J or Command J, it'll add a copy to the end of it, and it'll just keep adding more. It's just way too chaotic at a certain point. So what I do is I turn that off, and sure, it's going to name the layer the same name over and over again, but it's much cleaner, and you can go back and actually make the adjustment yourself. It makes your layers so much cleaner. Oh my gosh. So, okay, hit Edit Preferences, and then go to General or Control K. So now we're here, and I don't really change too much in this section. Maybe use legacy new document interface. I might turn that on. Interface, I make this dark, definitely easier on the eyes. Highlight color blue, and this whole section, it's really up to you. Hit next, workspace. That section I don't really change too much often either. Tools, this all kind of stays. It's all up to you. I don't really change that too much. History log, that's a new one, but whatever. Let me just make sure. Yeah, cloud documents, no big deal. Next. Performance would be next. Yeah, I use more web UI design, so that's up to you, dealer's choice. So yeah, this one, the scratch discs, I go through and I turn it off from the startup disk, because you always want your scratch disk to be different than your startup if possible. So moving that forward, normal brush tip, good to go. All right, so here in the transparency settings, you click on grid size and actually grid colors, and then I go to medium because the light one, let me actually just go in here and show you. This will be a lot easier on your eyes than if you had it set to, let's go back to where we had it before. So it was at light, and if you notice, it's just like really garish. I mean, it's just super bright. So I usually set mine to medium and large. It's up to you if you want to go in that section. So over here to the units section, you can make sure that your type and rulers are set to pixels. I use it that way because there's not a huge difference between pixel size and point size. Yeah, there is. Some people will tell you, nick you on like that. There actually is a big difference, but in the grand scheme of things, as a professional, I've found that most of the time it's just you're like adjusting to the eye. So in this section here, not doing much else really. So I'm hitting OK, and yeah, so this is pretty much how I have it set up day in, day out. Oh, one more, Control T, I think. Actually, no. Character. So this, I will have it over here on the bottom left. And I will use this fairly often because I'm a type to work. So I use this a fair amount of times. All right, so let's go actually here to the reason for the navigator. Sometimes when you're painting or drawing and you let's say you're like zoomed in like crazy, and you just wish that when you were drawing you could see the bigger thumbnail drawing of what you've got going on while you're still zoomed in. So I find that the navigator kind of does that perfectly. You could even make this a little bit wider and it will make the thumbnail navigator size pretty big, much bigger. So let's see, let's just do this. Let's say you're doing a free transform, right? So you used to not be able to do this actually, but just the usual space bar pan around. Imagine if you are doing this and you want to zoom in and out and you don't have the navigator dialog or panel turned on. You can just use this to zoom in and out. So that's most of the reason why I have it, is because of the thumbnail. And when you're free transforming, you can come in here and zoom in while you are still under free transform mode. And then before, you used to be able, you couldn't be able to like space bar, so I would just like click around in here and then zoom in and out. Yep, that's about it. I want to thank you. I'm going to be doing more tutorials like this in the future. More on one for Illustrator, one for After Effects, Premiere, just to show you how I have it set up, and then we can go into additional tutorials on folder structure, the way I organize my files, the layers within a Photoshop file or an After Effects project. And yeah, we'll just take it little by little as time allows. I'll be able to create more videos for you. And please like, subscribe, send this video to someone who you share it with someone else who you think would gain some benefit from it. I'm here to just pay it forward. People have shown me all these tips and tricks over the course of the years, and all I'm trying to do is just kind of amass them into one central repository and pay it forward, because they've definitely helped me out a ton. So thanks again. Have a good one.